This is such a phenomenal sight right here, AJ, man. You have the old guard, Glover Teixeira, man, a dude who is 43 years old in the press conference talking about, I'm in my prime right now. Win or lose, I'm not retiring. And he's in Brazil. So to me, AJ, and I know this might seem a little counterintuitive, even though to me it makes clear sense. This almost feels like a walking off into the sunset moment for a Glover Teixeira, win or lose. The moment doesn't get brighter. The man has not fought in Brazil since he was like on the prelims. But then you got Jamahal Hill. And some would argue that he doesn't deserve to be here. I would not argue that whatsoever. I would argue that this is probably one of the biggest tests for Glover Teixeira because Yuri Prochazka, right? You passed the test until the last 2 minutes of the fight, right? But Yuri Prochazka, unconventional, hands down the whole time, hitting you with some weirdness. You got a very technical southpaw that's going to be trying to take your head off in front of you and showcase a little bit of the ground game that Paul Craig exposed against him a couple of fights ago. So literally, man, I'm going to ask you this off of the bat, AJ, and I need a sincere, honest answer. Is Jamahal Hill simply too young, simply too athletic, simply too much of a fighter who is truly the next breed, next generation to not win this fight against Glover Teixeira? I know that's a weird question, but ultimately I'm saying, is Glover Teixeira too old, man? Is the moment past?
I don't think so at all, Derek. Until we see it proven, and like you said, Glover had the win until he did in the Yuri Prochazka fight. But until we see Glover really start to fade off with the exhaustion, start to fade off with the timing, the speed, looking like he's a step behind, gets beat up, gets pieced up on the feet as well as outclassed on the ground, I'm not willing to call it for Glover, man. We've seen it time in and time out. This dude is a firecracker in the ring. He's going to be here to fight all the time, and he's a dog nonetheless. And going back to what you said earlier, Derek, about Glover being like the moment, either way, win or lose, this is Glover's moment, man. I think that's just because of the guy that Glover lives his life day to day as. He lives with an open heart, a good guy. He's always trying to help people. I was watching the Embedded series. Go check it out, folks, if you haven't. They do a great job where Glover was talking to the new champ, Paeta, the one that dethroned Izzy, and they were just talking, man. You could tell the exuberance of Glover opening up to somebody and teaching him. And because of that, I think a lot of good goes to Glover, and that's why he's riding this high, man. It's a very palpable high that Glover has going into this fight, which makes him a little more dangerous, man. He can flow in there. He can get in there. He can move. He can jive. And the bad thing about Glover, Derek, and tell me and agree with me, disagree with me on this if you will, you have to put Glover away. You're not going to go out there and outdance him. You're not going to be outpointing him. You're not going to be Stephen Thompson in there against a Glover Teixeira. You're going to have to knock him out. You're going to have to submit him. We saw Yuri submit him. I don't think Jamahal Hill can do exactly that, Derek. Do you think he can put him to sleep? It seems like, I don't want to shy right to the numbers right away, but it seems like the odds makers are thinking that. Do you think he can knock him out?
I'll tell you what, this is not Sweet Dream Stadium. We're not in Las Vegas. This ain't the Apex, man. But if there is one man who can exploit the holes of a Glover Teixeira in terms of the striking, at least I do think it's Jamahal Hill. Jiri Prochazka came moments away from finishing Glover Teixeira himself. If you watch the fight back, man, Glover was in trouble a bunch of times. Now, his saving grace was he was able to jump on a single, able to jump on a double, and just kind of turn the fight around. But the other thing is that Jiri Prochazka is not an in-the-pocket fighter. He is not a technical... He's technical, but unorthodox, right? He's very much a wild man, and all of that craziness leads to a lot of weird actions. I think Jamahal Hill is going to stay tight. He knows the takedown is the game plan for Glover Teixeira, so it's going to be a matter of what lands first, man. Is it the right hand, left? I mean, we've seen that after Jamahal Hill got his arm snapped off, you know what I'm saying? He's still able to hurt you with both hands. It doesn't matter. But this is the thing. This is the big worry. And if you're a fan of this, of either of these fighters, you understand Glover Teixeira being able to take Jamahal Hill down and choke him or ground and pound finish is a very likely outcome, in my opinion. I think that could totally happen. But then again, Jamahal Hill is not some unproven dude who has only knocked dudes out in the first round and that's it. And people are asking, well, what happens if it goes past round one and it doesn't get the knockout? Is he going to be like, oh my God, my mind is blown. I'm so scared now. AJ, man, did this dude not just fight Thiago Santos, Marreta, 4 rounds in and get the finish? If that's not impressive, I don't know what is. Now, do you hold a win over Thiago Santos in the same light as you do Glover Teixeira's almost win over the other boogeyman of the division, Yuri Prochazka? What do you think?
Not necessarily. If this was a Marreta of old, the sledgehammer that's coming in and breaking people's faces, then yeah. But I feel like the time has shifted a little bit more at Marreta as well. But I mean, don't get me wrong, Derek. Jimmy Crute, Johnny Walker, OSP. There's a lot of these dudes that Jamahal Sweet Dreams Hill is putting to bed. So you can't discount this guy. And to answer my own question earlier, I think the one thing that worries me is I think Jamahal Hill can knock out Glover. I think it's a very likely possibility because, like you said, Derek, Glover was hurt a lot in the Yuri Prohashka fight. Makes it very nervous, man. Makes me very. I've been back and forth on this fight, man, so much. And it's just hard to put down the old dog of Glover Teixeira, and that's kind of what I'm going for in this one, man. I mean, I think on the feet, on the ground, we're going to see a mix-em-up of sorts because I do think Jamahal Hill has gotten better in his ground game. I mean, you get your arm basically snapped in half. There's no way you're not working more ground game every single week, man, if not twice a week, if not twice a day. Jamahal Hill, I think, is game amongst games. So I don't know, man. This one has me a little leery, Derek.
And then that's when we jump into the numbers, man. Odds makers clearly see it in favor of Jamahal Hill, minus 125 for Jamahal Hill in Brazil. Are we forgetting about that? In Brazil. Now, if this was a fight that I thought was almost guaranteed to go to the judges, I would have a different perspective on this fight because this is Brazil. Let's not forget, man. You know what I mean? You got the hometown guy right here, Glover. But let's look at these prop bets, man. For Glover Teixeira, plus 225 for the submission victory. And that's not the greatest odds right there. You would think that they'd be a little more heavy in favor. But the heaviest bet right here is plus 110 for Jamahal Hill for the TKO, right? If you look at a decision, they don't really see it getting done. Even for Glover Teixeira, they plus 600 for a decision. You would think that would be money. But a lot of people think that this is going to finish within the distance. Now, AJ, if I had to ask you, what do you think the over and under on this fight is? What do you think?
Ooh, over and under on a 5-rounder, man. I'd probably say 2.5.
Ah, on the money, 2.5 right here. Now, what is the favorite in terms of the odds, the over or the under?
I'm gonna say the over, man. I think both of these guys can get it done in like the fourth. What do you think? What is it?
I'll tell you what it is. I mean, I already know the answer.
Plus
180 for the over, minus 220 for the under. So the odds makers think that this fight is ending early. Judges are not going to be needed here. So I think that definitely sways not heavily in favor of one fighter at all, man. I think that like Glover could get the submission or Jamahal Hill can get the knockout. So this is what it's gonna come down to because we can go X's and O's. We could speculate all day long. I think Jamahal Hill straight shots down the pipe are going to be very devastating for Glover Teixeira. We have seen time and time again that's actually one of Glover's biggest weaknesses, right? Uppercuts down the pipe, straight shots down the pipe, little hooks that are getting around that guard right there. If Jamahal can land clean on one of these, man, it could be a short one, but if Glover takes him down, it's the same story here. So my final question to you, because clearly I feel like you could tell from the way that I'm talking about it, I like Jamahal Hill here. I think this is the new generation. This is the new guard. And I feel like this entire time, AJ, I've been wanting to pick Glover Teixeira. Actually, when I initially wrote up my picks, I picked Glover Teixeira. But I have to ask you this in full confidence and faith, man. If you pick Glover Teixeira, which, I mean, it's probably going to be the case, right? Do you feel good about it?
Not at all, Derek. It's funny you said that because my initial write down was Jamahal Hill. I thought I was going to be picking for the underdog. I thought there was going to be Jamahal Hill show all day long. Yeah. And then I look at the odds and it's, Jamahal Hill's the favorite. Like there's something weird going on around this card, and I'm not confident about my pick at all. Can Jamahal Hill get it done? Yeah. Can Glover Teixeira make this a dogfight, drown Jamahal in some deep, bloody waters? 100%. This one's a very hard fight, man, but I'm seeing it the way the odds makers are. If Jamahal Hill's winning this, he has to knock him out. Me personally, though, I'm going Glover Teixeira. I'm going with the submission, and I'm taking the under at early to second round.
Okay. So you're taking the submission, though. That's really what we're picking right here. All right. Duly noted. I like Jamahal Hill. Give me the TKO, brother, because if Glover Teixeira does pull this off, man, we've never seen anything like it, really. You know what I'm saying? We've seen old wrestlers, like, wrestle their way to victory time and time again, but, like, a dude like Glover who is so, like, he got hands. People forget. He can get it done. I like Jamahal Hill. Give me a second-round TKO right here, man. I think that if he cracks the right way, I mean, we've seen this dude just obliterate people, right? So that's your championship matchup right here, folks, man. It's going to be a good one. And if you're definitive on anybody, you're probably wrong. You know what I'm saying? This needs to be back and forth.